God actually has the playfulness of a child. It literally does. And when you're communicating with God, if you lose that playfulness, you're no longer in resonance, and that connection or unification actually stops. Let me see if I can recall. I don't know if I've ever been asked that question. What we're really doing when we're present, when we're meditating, is we're actually doing the Clark Kent. We are now accessing more and more of the true self. And that does not have to be an endeavor where we time out from our life. This will change the planet overnight when we actually all make that shift.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another interview on the RJ Spina channel. I'm joined with a special guest. RJ, how's it going?
It's going very well. Nice to see you, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing well. RJ, I meditated all night in preparation for this meditation interview. So
excellent. I did not.
Okay, perfect. For anybody who doesn't know, RJ has a workshop coming up, and that's kind of why we're talking about meditation in this one. There are limited seats, and those seats are running out, so we do want to make you guys aware that if you haven't gotten your tickets already, be sure to check out the first link in the comment section description. But RJ, do you want to tell us a little bit about this event that we have coming up in less than 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of time to figure out how to meditate. I've been Googling like crazy. So hopefully I could figure it out. I mean, I got less than 2 weeks. A lot of pressure. It's something I'm sincerely looking forward to because the whole 3-day event is just centered around meditation. So, and there's a big difference, and I'm sure we'll probably get into it in our discussion, Justin. There's a big difference when we're working with someone who can hold a high frequency space, and there's a large group of people working in the same direction. So we're going to be doing healing meditations. We're going to be doing meditations to connect with the higher self. We're going to be doing meditations that actually allow you to directly communicate with God. That's what I said. We're going to do meditations that are, I think I may even do my time travel meditation. So this experience, I'm really looking forward to it because meditation is near and dear to my heart. It truly is. So this is going to be really epic on multiple levels. And I'm sincerely looking forward to it. And I'm also looking forward to it because most of my workshops, I do a lot of talking. So this one, I'm actually going to be able to do a lot of meditating. So that's a lot of fun for me. And it's going to be life-changing for people that attend.
Absolutely. And for anybody who hasn't attended, one of the workshops live, trust me, there's a huge difference between meditating in your house by yourself versus meditating in a room with RJ. It's like, it is so different. I can't even describe it. Like, you'll be changed forever. And I truly mean that. Now, with this, we're actually going to be doing a recording of it. And so let's say you can't make it for whatever reason, there you can sign up for the recording at the bottom of the page, and it'll be the first link in the comment section description. And we're actually going to be giving away one recording to somebody watching this video right now. All you have to do is hit the thumbs up button for us, share this video to your social media, and then leave a comment in the comment section. And one commenter is going to be chosen to receive the event for free. So be sure to check that out if you're interested. But RJ, anything else we want to mention about the event and about the difference between in person and obviously meditating on your own?
Well, it's easy for me to say it, but and Justin, you said it because you've experienced it yourself. You can't compare them. It's literally night and day difference because again, we're talking about someone being able to hold a very, very large space, and that large space is going to be held in a very high frequency. I've mastered these meditations. So you have the mastery, being led, high frequency, huge space, and the collective intention. So the amplification of energy, when you have a large group of people, 50 people, 80 people, whatever it's going to turn out to be, we have a large group of people all working in the same direction with the same intention. There's a massive amplification of energy that literally just cannot be duplicated when you're at home meditating. We can all have fantastic, life-changing meditations by ourselves at home without question, but this cannot be duplicated. And just as you said, the power of it is so immense that it's literally life-changing. You're never the same after doing this. And that's one of the things that we're all going to experience at the workshop.
Absolutely. After the last one, people were healed of things. People had blocks removed. People were actively crying after. It was very beautiful. And like I said, it's unlike anything else that you've ever experienced. So highly recommend you guys attend. Limited number of seats. I believe there's a cap on the seats, right, RJ? And we're getting pretty close on that.
There is, yeah, because the event itself, when we're going to be doing the meditation, is kind of like a theater style room, and there is a limitation to how many people can get in there. We're approaching it, so if you're interested, just go ahead and do it. And if you're not, you can also put yourself on the wait list, which is on the website for the recording. So you'll be notified as soon as we have. And the recording is going to be video and audio. So how exciting for you. You'll get to see me, but there'll be video and audio. So you can put yourself on the wait list too for that.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll have all the information down below that you guys need. And remember the giveaway, like the video, comment, and share it to your social media, and you might be selected to win one of the free recordings. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into it, RJ. First question for you, and it's a very serious one. Which crystals and incense are best whenever I'm meditating?
Oh, that is a profound question, and I can see that you meditated all night to come up with that. That is,
It came to me, RJ.
I can see why. I mean, it's profound. Which crystals and incense? There are no best. All of these, I love crystals and I love incense. So right? I mean, my house is like a crystal cave, and that's not an exaggeration. Okay. Do they really help with meditation? No. They're permission slips. I'm a permission slip. So it's a permission slip to allow you to surrender more and harness your intention. And that's really the key, is your level of surrender and your intention. And if incense and crystals enhance your ability to go deeper and to relax and to harness your intention, then load up on the crystals and incense. Why not? But do they actually do anything? No, they're permission slips. That's what they are. So that is just a fantastic first question.
Excellent. I thought we'd lead it off the correct way. Now, RJ, to kind of double down on that, why do you think people overcomplicate meditation? Like, why do you think we need all of these things in place in order to actually do it?
Okay, that is a good question. Okay, why do we overcomplicate? Because we've turned, our existence has become about mental machinations and body consciousness, which is really the throes and the thrashings of personhood. So my direct experience is that meditation is actually what we are. The self is meditation, and that's why we have these 1 second meditations. So we actually just go to what we already are, which doesn't require any effort. I think meditation has been difficult is because we're doing it from the ego mind identity. So we're already downstream into a state of flux, and we're trying to unflux while being the flux. So it doesn't work. So meditation, we are meditation. So it doesn't actually require an effort. And this is part of the paradigm shift I feel of these teachings. It's not a mental process. It's actually the opposite. We're accessing what exists before the mental process, which is the I am presence. So we are meditation. So, and then we just tie in what we just talked about surrender, right? And then intention. And now that intention can be the specificities of the meditation itself. So we can do a specificity can be to recommune with the higher self, to speak with God, to do a healing meditation. But meditation has become confusing for people because from my perspective, we're not really meditating. That's not meditation. If the mind is active, if the lower consciousness is active, that's not meditation. And we're going to learn how to go to what exists prior and what gives birth to the lower consciousness. And because we already are that, it doesn't really require any effort.
Okay, excellent. And RJ, this might overlap a little bit, but meditation seems to be one of the most important aspects for mastering yourself, right? Whenever we see the masters, like typically we'll see them in meditative postures. Why is that?
Okay, so as we just said, Justin, the self, the I am, the self with the capital S, it is meditation. So we exist prior to thinking. We exist prior to emotions. We exist prior to the body. Therefore, we exist prior to the experiences that the body has. For a memory even to be created, something must already be present. So we're going to go to that presence, that I am presence. And authentic masters are in complete alignment. They have attuned body mind complex, or full integration, if you want to call it that, but they have attuned body mind complex to who and what they really are. And an authentic master is pretty much always in meditation. They are in a constant flow state. And part of why they're able to share such depth of wisdom and depth of love is because they're actually accessing the true depth of themselves. And so we often see them in a meditative posture. But what we're starting to understand is that meditation is being completely and utterly present, which doesn't necessarily have to mean, hey, time out, I got to go meditate. We're now able to stay in a meditative state, in a flow state, complete clarity. And you can think of it as channeling, but it's not, because you're actually just accessing more of you. So if we think of Clark Kent doing this with his suit and pulling it back, and there's the Superman outfit, what we're really doing when we're present, when we're meditating, is we're actually doing the Clark Kent. We are now accessing more and more of the true self. And that does not have to be an endeavor where we time out from our life and get our crystals and get our incense and say, I need to meditate for it. It can, but hopefully these teachings are taking it to the next level where we can be in this flow state 24/7.
And this is one of the reasons why I love that you've created these instantaneous meditations, RJ, because they just, like, when you find yourself out of that state, they bring you right back in. So whenever you came up with these, was it like a remembering? Was it something like how did it come to you, you know?
I think, well, let me see if I can recall. I don't know if I've ever been asked that question. Okay, so what it feels like to me, Justin, is just really a reverse engineering from personhood. So in other words, we have the ego mind identity, right? Our character, right? Okay. So if we reverse engineer that and we go back to who and what we really are, what is the fastest, most expedient way to return to what we really are? And so by doing that, I came up with, as you know, the instantaneous meditation magic tricks. There's like 10 of them or 20 of them at this point. Sometimes I create them on the spot. It's just a reverse engineering from this to this. And it's like, well, how can we make that as expedient, as immediate, and as tangible as possible? And so I think they just, probably because of a level of detachment, they're more tangible and obvious to me. So they just sometimes come out. As you know, sometimes the meditations, I'm literally creating them as we're doing them, even in a workshop. So it's that spontaneity and the ability to not be downstream, but see the ego mind identity downstream and reverse engineer it to who and what we are in sort of 1 second.
The beautiful thing is I feel like I used to have to try so hard to get there, like not with the meditation magic tricks. Like I would be able to get in, but then I would slip out like so quickly. But now it's kind of the opposite. Now I feel like I'm more in meditation more often. And whenever I do slip out, I just bring it back in. So it's beautiful. And I feel like the more you practice, the more that kind of comes into alignment, wouldn't you say, RJ?
Yeah, I think that's the key. What you just said, one of my desires for humanity is to kind of flip this whole paradigm about meditation and flow state. So for most of us, right, we're ego mind identity is just running roughshod all over our entire life. And then maybe we take 30 minutes out of the day, maybe 30 minutes out of the day to actually be who and what we really are. And the other 23 and a half hours, we're trying to be a character that's been created. So I feel with the meditation magic tricks, the instantaneous meditation magic tricks, through the process, just like just practice, because we get good at what we do repetitively. So the more that we do these 1 second meditations, the more we're going to normalize the state of being present. And then the shift into personhood, which can happen so quick that we're unaware of it, the shift into personhood we start to become aware of the shift into personhood. And because we become aware of the shift into personhood and we've normalized the state of being present, so now we can turn 23 and a half hours out of the day of actually being present because we're so aware of it now. And then if a half hour out of the day we get triggered and go crazy, so what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because the majority of our life is being spent as who and what we really are. And that's my true desire about the instantaneous meditation magic tricks. I want to flip from 23 and a half hours of your conditioned, programmed, MK ultra traumatized mind and a character that you're not, to shifting that to 23 and a half hours out of the day. The real you is here, and you're creating your life based upon who you are. And then if for a half hour out of the day you get triggered, no big deal. This will change the planet overnight when we actually all make that shift.
One of the coolest things, RJ, is like, obviously we hear you talk about all this stuff and it's really cool, but when you experience it, it's just on another level. And that's why I love Access Super Consciousness so much, because it's got not only what it is, but also how to experience it firsthand. And so I just implore anybody watching this video to like take action on the things that you're saying, because experiencing is just a whole other, whole other thing. Now, RJ, with regards to meditation, when we're younger, are we more in the present moment? And then once we get older, things start to happen where we lose touch with that?
Yeah. I mean, without question. So our natural state is to be playful and creative, right? Which is really just the expressing of the true self. That's really what that is. And we see that, just as you said, we see that with the young kids. They are playful. They are imaginative. They are living from their true self. And that's because they haven't been on the planet long enough yet to become completely and utterly brainwashed. That's just the truth. That's just the truth of it. So they are naturally more their true self. And then we hammer them into subservience and submission to the programming of the matrix. So they are naturally like that. And the funny thing is, when even as an adult, if we start doing the work properly and we start to come back to that, we actually start to see our life as very playful and enjoyable. And we start to see how we imagine everything into creation. And so we we start off that way. Then we have our mind brainwashed for a while. And then we return back to that playful, pristine nature. And that also makes me think, Justin, of authentic unification or interaction with God, source creator. And one of the elements, I've talked about this before, that God is, to keep it brief, God is kind of an unfathomable level of intelligence. You can feel it reduce itself so it can, quote unquote, communicate with you, because it's experiencing everything simultaneously, concurrently, and in parallel. It is actually experiencing all. So you could think of the level of intelligence that is actually happening with Source God Creator. But the other aspect of Source God Creator is that when you authentically interact with Source God, God actually has the playfulness of a child. It literally does. And when you're communicating with God, if you lose that playfulness, you're no longer in that purity, the playfulness. If you lose that yourself, you're no longer in resonance, and that connection or unification actually stops.
Wow. So can we find God through just like normal activities, RJ, or is it only through meditation that we could, find God in that way?
Well, one of the things we're going to do at the workshop, what I've discovered is that there's a frequency or a realm, it's almost the same thing, a frequency that is just reserved for God, that God and only God resides within this one specific frequency band. And so we're going to be able to go to that. Now, I would say that experience can probably only really be had through the surrender and direct intention for the unification of God. I have yet to experience God directly through just being totally engaged or engrossed in the activity. It's not quite the same thing. So I would say, for direct attunement and unification with God, you actually have to have that specific intention.
Okay. Excellent. You're probably the only person that could answer that question, RJ, but I'm glad I got to ask you. So we were talking about children, right? Obviously, we said before the programming and everything else that happens. If we were able to work with our children with some of the things that we're learning from you, RJ, could we kind of like avail them from some of that? And you know what I mean? How how progressed would a child be if they were taught like some of your teachings, you know what I mean, from an early age?
Oh boy, yeah, I mean, it would change. It would change everything. Yeah, it would change everything. Now, the from my perspective, uh, the only effective, truly effective, or transformative teacher is someone who's the embodiment of what it is that they're sharing. So, the parent would have to be working from that level to be able to emanate that frequential resonance of that, and then the child would then avail themselves of that frequential resonance within themselves. They would match the authenticity of, and that's what kids do, by the way. They match the authenticity or inauthenticity of their parents. So it will still start with the parents, but if we can get education, proper education, which is what these teachings are, if we can get them in the hands of children, I feel it bulletproofs them from the brainwashing. It really does. So that's part of what my desire is to make sure that this is available, and that's part of what my nonprofit is working towards, is to make these type of teachings in a different form, so it's obviously easily accessible for a child, but to give the next generation, the next several generations, access to proper education. And I feel like the matrix just won't have the same kind of effect.
Yeah, that would be a beautiful place to live in, RJ, if if that were to happen, and when it does happen. So we talked a lot about why people struggle with meditation. I know in the beginning of like my practice with meditation, like even before I started with you, RJ, it was like I couldn't understand how you could meditate without guided meditations. I was like, I don't know how people do this without listening to something. But now it's much easier to go there. So could we talk a little bit about maybe guided versus not guided?
Yeah, I feel, which is why I do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I feel that humanity works at this moment. Humanity works best if they're given a process, and you can think of the process as guided meditation, right? Whether it's a process for healing, manifestation, or meditation. So humanity is given a process, and then through the repetitive nature, through a guided meditation of the process, and this is what you're discovering. This is what many students discover. So they avail themselves and they do it repeatedly over and over again. And then eventually we realize that the highest process is no process, because we're already it. But to get to the highest process of no process, we actually need a process, which sounds like an oxymoron, but it's not. It's absolutely not. So the guided meditations are a process that works, that takes us to Clark Kent doing this and accessing more of the self or higher mind, and therefore connection with our higher self and even God and even beyond God. But after you do that enough, you don't need a process, because you realize that you're already it. And then it just becomes a matter of, as we talked about before, surrender and intention. And at that point, we don't need a process, because the highest process is no process.
I love it. I think one of the biggest things that helped me was the Dallas event. Like literally, I feel like I like took 10 leaps forward with regards to my meditation practice. So I highly, highly recommend, if you're somebody who takes this kind of stuff seriously, be sure to check out the in-person meditation, because there's nothing like it. Like I feel like I went to a place that I've never been before. And RJ, that's kind of like my next question. Like, where do we go whenever we meditate?
Well, I go to Buc-ee's.
Okay. We love that beaver.
Yeah, yeah. Beavers changed my life. Just
Now, if you don't like Buc-ee's, you probably shouldn't come to the event.
right. Exactly. Well said. Okay, so where do we go when we meditate? Okay, so I go to Buc-ee's. So where everyone else goes. No. So again, think of Clark Kent, right? So he's doing this, right? So he's accessing, or he's okay. When we meditate, what we're doing, Clark Kent's not doing that. When we access more of the self. So what we're actually experiencing is more directly of the I am, because for most of us, we lead our entire life and many incarnations through identification with the suit, or what I call body consciousness. And we're not the body mind. That's why we leave it here. Right. Okay. So meditation is actually going within, and then you could think of Clark Kent. So we start experiencing more of the self. Now, I think where we can often get confused is that we keep associating with an out there, right? When we meditate, we're going out there, we're going into the astral realms, we're going into these different well, you are, but it's all within you. And that's the thing. It's all within you. You contain everything. Our mind, and I don't mean our lower consciousness, our higher mind contains a blueprint of the entire multiverse. And we populate that multiverse with the experiences that we have through all the different incarnations. And that data is actually what expands the collective consciousness and God's understanding of itself. So I think when we start to understand that, this will start to make a lot more sense. So where do we go when we meditate? We're supermaning it. We're experiencing more of the self, and within the self is all the kingdom of heaven lies within. There are many rooms within my Father's house. Okay, does that start making more sense now? This is the metaphysical understandings of that statement and of many other statements made by masters. This is the metaphysical understanding of these things. So where do we go? There is no there. So we're going more within, and within, God is within our consciousness. The different frequencies and dimensions of the multiverse are within our consciousness. So in that sense, we don't go anywhere, ever. We don't go anywhere ever. I know that sounds weird. No, we don't. There's only here and now. And then how much of the here and now are we going to experience? And when we do that, we're populating, as I said, the blueprint. And those data points are what feeds into the evolution of our consciousness, the collective consciousness, our higher self's consciousness, God's consciousness, the other God's consciousness, and the absolute, which created the whole thing.
And Bucky's, of course.
And Bucky's, right. Well, Bucky's first. But
Bucky's first.
Bucky's first.
Most important things first.
Yeah.
Archie, is there any kind of like a perfect meditation duration? Like in the beginning, like when you're trying to figure it out, should you limit yourself to a time frame when you're meditating?
Okay. That's an interesting question. I'm not going to answer it. No. Okay. So when we start to look at things like duration, or, how often should I do this, or how much should I do this? Okay. I want everyone to understand that is your ego mind identity even asking that question. Okay. So forget duration. Time does not exist. Time does not authentically, intrinsically exist. It's a unit of measure. So don't bother measuring anything. Your ego mind is what compartmentalizes, fragments everything. And therefore it looks to things in terms of measuring. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 days, 4 days, 5 times a day. Forget it. Throw it out the window. The proper duration of meditation has nothing to do with time. It has nothing to do with time. It's depth and richness of the experience. We can have life-altering, profound meditations that take 5 seconds in terms of duration. We can also have 45 minutes of very ineffectual meditation, and we've pat ourselves on the back because we can then announce to everyone, including to our own ego mind, I meditated for 45 minutes today. No, you didn't. That's got nothing to do with the depth, right? So proper duration, forget duration. It's the depth. That's what counts. And I'll even add to that, just to use duration, 2 minutes of profound, deep meditation is worth way more than 2 hours of ineffectual meditation.
And I feel like once you get like the taste of what it feels like to be in like true meditation, you feel like you want to stay there forever, And it's like, I don't know. Like you said, there is no time. Time is gone. So I love it, RJ. Last question for you: group meditation versus doing it alone. Obviously, we alluded to it earlier. I mean, there's nothing like I feel like doing it with group intention, right?
It's not comparable, and I understand. Maybe most of us have not had a group meditation, but all I can tell you is that if we just look at it as the space being held by a high frequency being, holding a large space, and then lifting that space, and then 30, 40, 70 people doing the same thing, and all harnessing their energy with the same intention. There's such an amplification of energy that can't be duplicated by yourself. It just can't. We don't have the same energetic power as 70 different people, and especially when the space is being held at its high frequency. And that's why, as you said, Justin, the experiences that people had in Dallas, I mean, many people said that was the most amazing experience of their life, openly weeping. This is not hyperbole. There's nothing like this, and it can't be duplicated. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about it. I absolutely, because I know what it's like and what it's going to be like. It's going to be life changing. It's freeing, it's cleansing, and it can't be duplicated individually.
RJ, if you had like 100,000 people's intention all aligning, like, could you like change the world if you had enough people with the same intention? You know,
Without question. Without question. The radical changes that would happen with large groups of people would be almost unfathomable to the finite conditioned mind. The finite conditioned mind doesn't understand anything. But yeah, we can change. Think of it this way, as just as an image for the mind. You take a pebble and you throw it into the lake, right? There's a ripple, right? But it's not a big one, but there's definitely a ripple without question. Okay, now imagine throwing a 10-ton block into the lake. The ripple and the emanation would affect the entire lake almost immediately in a very profound way. So that's the image that we can have in our mind in terms of if we start to do this with large groups of people. I mean, they've done studies and tests that groups of people meditating changes the resonance of areas. It changes how plants grow. It changes the health of the people in that area. I mean, this has been proven already. But yeah, imagine a boulder and the emanation and the ripple just fanning out, covering everything. That I would do anything for that.
I think we should try to do it. So, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but if you guys want to change the world with the meditation, I think you should leave it in the comment section. Let's change the world. And maybe we should try for something like that because I think it'd be very cool. So anyway, RJ, that's all the questions that I had with regards to meditation. Anything else you want to mention about the event or anything else?
Yes, there is too many misunderstandings and misinterpretations of what meditation actually is. Because a lot of us think, and that's just a thought, but a lot of us think of meditation as not participating fully in our life. It's something we take a time out from our life in order to go light our incense and get our crystals and do something for 20 minutes or 40 minutes. But there's no doingness to it. And it's not practical. It's not useful. It doesn't help my life. Well, what we're starting to understand finally is that it's actually the opposite. The self is meditation. The more you bring yourself, your unlimited fractal of God, which is what you are whole and complete. All your talents and your abilities are the self. The more that we bring that into every moment of our life, the quality, every facet of our life is enhanced by an order of magnitude through meditation. And meditation is being fully present. It has nothing to do with I can't operate, I can't do stuff, I can't communicate, I can't actively do my job. It's the opposite. It's the absolute opposite. And this is one of the things that we're going to tangibly have the experience of true meditation, and to realize that we can bring the Superman, more of who and what we really are, to literally every single moment of our life, therefore every single facet of our life. And our quality of life will improve across the board.
Excellent. If you guys want to meditate with RJ, check it out. It'll be the first link in the comment section description. And like I said, if you want to win one of the replays, be sure to like the video, share it out on social media, and leave us a comment in the comment section. But I think that's it, RJ. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, Justin. It's always fun to talk. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Until next time. Now, RJ, before we hop into this one, how long have you been meditating for?
I got to be honest. I don't even know how to do it. I'm trying to figure it out now.
Man, this is gonna be a long interview then.
Yeah. You got to let me Google as you ask me these questions. You got to let me Google the answers.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Justin, what is meditation? Can you tell me?
Yeah,
'Cause
I
don't
got you,
know.
RJ.
Yeah.
It's just when you close your eyes and it's real black for a while. I think you have to sit like cross-legged or something, and if you're wearing orange, it helps. Particularly, it's a Himalayan ritual.
Is that what it is? Listen, this event's in less than 2 weeks. We got to figure this out.